It's time for the Phil Ferguson Show.
Buongiorno tutti. Hello, everybody. This is Phil Ferguson, and you are listening to the Phil Ferguson Show. One of my listeners asked if it was possible for me to not call it the cleverly titled Phil Ferguson Show for at least one episode. Today is that episode. Today it is just the Phil Ferguson Show. It is not the cleverly titled Phil Ferguson Show. So I promised I wouldn't call it that at least once. So let's get into the meat of this stuff. I am in my new house. I am in the far southwest suburbs of Chicago. The city is New Lenox, just a little east of Joliet. So hopefully I'll be able to play in a bigger playground of Chicago a little more often because I can get downtown in 40 minutes maybe, not the 2.5 hours it used to take me. So looking forward to that. Found a couple of Italian delis where people speak Italian, so I just have to go when it's not slammed. I went in there, and there was people 10 deep at this deli to buy anything and everything that they had to sell. So no way someone could spare 5 or 10 minutes to talk to me. So I'll have to go back another time, figure out when it's much, much slower business. Other fun things, I went to my local Rotary Club here, and they had a nice sectarian prayer put on by a Missouri Synod Lutheran minister. So now I'm trying to contemplate exactly how much of a pain in the ass I want to be. So I'm thinking about that and looking forward to that. And the other fun thing, of course, in preparation for recording this segment, which is, by the way, show 212, if I hadn't said it already, I'm learning about the new sounds of the house. So hopefully this sounds almost as good as what I had before I moved, but I am using a different computer. There's different things going on and around, and this house has a sump pump that runs more often. I'm pretty sure it's quiet enough that you won't hear it, but you might. So we're going to work on that, try to isolate sounds. So hopefully you don't notice anything in drop of quality, but if you do, give me a show or two to get it all tweaked back up. So a couple of things that I do have. I did have someone write in about 529s. They sent me an email, and it says, just a FYI, a little trick for people in the United States with unlimited deductions for 529s. You could put money into the 529 and then immediately take it out and pay your school bill, and therefore you would be able to pay with tax-deductible money. And so this person sent in this suggestion, and they are absolutely correct. So I generally don't recommend saving for college. This is not technically saving for college. And, of course, every suggestion, guideline, rule, whatever you want to call it that I talk about, there's always exceptions. That's why this stuff is so complicated. As an example, if you and your spouse both have generous incomes and you make over $200, $250, you're probably not going to get aid at all. Now, your child might get a scholarship, which again defeats the purpose of having the 529 because you're going to have to pay a penalty and tax consequences to get all the money out. But if you have a student and you know that they are already in college and you know that they're not getting a free ride or significant scholarships of any type, you could, with consultation of your tax expert, do not do this just because Phil says so, you could put money in the 529 and then immediately or shortly or briefly or soon after take it out. You would be able to then not pay tax on that money. So if you put $20,000 in and took $20,000 out to pay the bills, of course, in the meantime, don't invest it in anything. If your state requires you to, you would just simply put it in the absolutely most conservative portfolio that they have. You're not going to make anything. You're not going to lose anything. But you might be able to save 25 or 33% tax on that money. So excellent tip from a listener. Please, of course, anything, specifically if it has to do with taxes, check with your own enrolled agent or CPA, whoever helps you with your taxes. I am not a real official tax expert, so just keep that in mind. Please double check. Another listener, of course, I have the smartest listeners out there. Some of them clearly smarter than me, or at least know more about tax rules than I do. Someone pointed out that previously we had discussed what is called the backdoor Roth IRA. So if you have a combined adjusted gross income for a married couple somewhere north of 186, 196 kind of thing, you will not qualify to put money into a Roth IRA. And it's one of those things, good for you. As a couple, you're making close to $200,000. Not everybody can do that. But then I also hear people that say, finally, I'm making enough money, I can save $10,000, which means they haven't been saving enough before. But aside from that, they now want to use their Roth IRA and find that they cannot. So there is a process called a backdoor Roth IRA where you can put the money into a non-deductible traditional IRA and then convert it into a Roth IRA. And when you do that, you've essentially put money into a Roth IRA even though you didn't qualify for it. I've talked about it in the past, and the person that contacted me pointed out that it might be a little more complicated than I previously explained. And so I'm going to give you an example, and I'm going to try to not fuck it up. But here's how it works. If you have no IRA money, you've never saved, and now you want to put $5,000 in a non-deductible account, which means you still paid tax on that money when you earned it, and then you change it to a Roth IRA, which normally you would have paid tax on it when you earned it, and then put the money in the Roth, no problem. It's easy. If all of your money is currently in Roth IRAs, and you put money into a non-deductible IRA and change it over to a Roth IRA, also not a problem. It'll work just fine. If, however, you have the vast majority of your money in IRAs, whether you've added to IRAs over the years or you've rolled over 401ks, 403bs, however it got there, you have money in traditional deductible IRAs. And by deductible, meaning you put the money in and you were still able to deduct that money from your income taxes and you didn't pay tax. Let's use an example. You have $95,000 in a deductible IRA. You create a new account that you're going to keep in mind. You know it's your non-deductible account. You put $5,000 in there. You pay tax on the money you earned. You have $5,000 left over. And then you intend to, and you plan to, move that money over to a Roth. Voila, a backdoor Roth IRA. However, the IRS, when you move money from an IRA to a Roth IRA, they look at the entire picture of all of your IRA accounts. So what that means is when you move $5,000 over, that $5,000 comes out of your total pool of $100,000. In your pool of $100,000 of IRA money, you have 95% that was previously deductible and now 5% that's non-deductible. So 95% of the money that you move over, per the IRS, they're going to consider that you moving deductible money you did not pay tax on, into an account that you now already paid the tax. So you'll have to pay all the tax on 95% of the $5,000 that you move over, which wasn't your intent when trying to do a backdoor Roth IRA. And then the $5,000 that you thought you were moving, which was non-deductible, is still in the account, and now you have to very, very carefully track that all the way up until you retire and every year beyond, and even when it goes to your descendants. Because if you don't, you will have paid tax on it at the beginning, and then you have to pay tax on it a second time when you finally take the money out. And that all those withdrawals, when you start taking money out, they are also prorated in retirement. So please consult with a tax expert. not just Phil talking on some silly little podcast about how to do a backdoor Roth. It can be very tricky, and it can cause you far more pain and anxiety than it's going to save you. So something to think about. Another fun thing that people gave me links to, Warren Buffett recently had his annual shareholders meeting for Berkshire Hathaway. And a couple things that he revealed that people found to be surprising is he announced that Berkshire Hathaway is likely to start distributing dividends even while Warren Buffett himself is alive. So they have a ginormous mountain of cash, and he has kind of talked about finding a harder and harder time finding things to buy. He's recently bought airlines, which he previously said he would never do, and he's bought into other companies. And maybe he'll be right again, but they still have a pile of cash. And so they might start spinning some of that money off, which if you're owning individual shares, I mean, if you own the indexes, like I normally recommend, this doesn't really matter, but it's kind of fun to talk about. But if you own Berkshire Hathaway and it starts to spin off large dividends, if you want dividend income, that's fantastic. If you're trying to get growth and avoid paying taxes, that could be a problem for you, depending on how much they actually spin off. The other thing that Warren Buffett did talk about, once again, he reaffirmed that for his wife, if he is to die before her, the money that she gets, because the vast majority of his wealth will be donated to charity, and he's already given, I think, several billions of dollars to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. But the amount of money he's going to set aside for his wife, the instructions he has left is that it's supposed to go into index funds. And then, of course, he talked about how index funds have lower costs, high tax efficiency, just doing wonderful things. Matter of fact, I found in USA Today a little write-up about this, and there it says that over the last 15 years, the index has beat 92% of large cap funds and beat 95% of medium-sized companies. So it is really hard to beat an index. You have a 5 to 8% chance in the last 15 years based on this study that USA Today is referring to. And the problem is, of course, you don't know which funds are going to do it in advance. We've talked about that previously on the show. That is very, very hard to do. One other email I got from somebody. I would like to know what you think about money market accounts and credit unions. Where does one hold liquid money and get good returns? Well, that is difficult. Interest rates are near historic lows. They've started to go up a little bit, which is actually a concern for some parts of your portfolio if you have long-term bonds. But where does one put money in the short term? Well, first of all, I have no problem with credit unions. I generally like credit unions. I am a member of a credit union myself, and I've also been a member of a credit union in the past that behaved very much like a bank in mostly a bad way. The whole advantage of credit unions is that you are a member, you are a part owner, and their job is not to make a profit off of you and the other clients, customers, owners, but to provide you services at a reasonable cost. So in general, I like credit unions. Something that might be a problem with a credit union is they are often small and have maybe some fewer services that you might want that your bank is going to be better at, some kind of bill pay or money exchanging. I do know that when I have clients move money to an account that they've opened up with me at Polaris, they're more likely to have some difficulties and have to jump through extra hoops if the money is at a credit union, because they're small and they don't do that as often, so it seems to be a little bit more work. On the plus side, sometimes at credit unions, you can get phenomenal credit card deals. I think I have a credit card with my credit union that's something like 9.9% annual interest rate if I don't pay it in full every month, which I do. And it also has a very generous time period for when I can pay the bill. It will also take the money out of my account to make the minimum so I don't get hit with a penalty from that. So there's definitely services. Credit unions are just fantastic. But keep in mind, they might not have all the services you want. And not every credit union is as good as every other credit union, just like banks. But as far as where to put your money, you can put it in a CD, a certificate of deposit. Rates are really low. You could put it in some kind of a short-term bond fund. Again, rates are really low. To put something very conservative, very short-term, you might make 1.5%, maybe even 2%. If you need the money in a year, let's say it's $10,000. You need it in a year. You could make $100 to $200 in interest. That's better than no interest, but it's not a whole lot of money. And if the place or the location or the account that you have to open up that makes you the $200 versus the $100 involves a lot of effort and difficulty and setting up accounts and creating new accounts, give serious consideration for how much time you're spending for that little bit of extra money. In that case, the money being really convenient is very nice. So that's something to think about. We've talked about the cushion before, so I'm not going to get into that. But if you have part of your retirement portfolio, a variety of short-term and junk bonds and international bonds and different things like that, you might be able to make 3 without taking on a whole lot of risk, or at least spreading the risk out on different things. If you start introducing intermediate or long-term bonds, you can get 3.5%, maybe even 4.5%. But anything beyond 5% return, you should really question how is that possible. Junk bonds might make 7 or 8. Last year they went up a total of 11, partly because they appreciated, or the vast majority of them paid, and very few of them failed. But you have to understand that you're taking risk, and it should be a very small part of your portfolio. So that's some responses to mail that's come in. I do also know that the Department of Labor is still trying to figure out what to do with the fiduciary rule. It looks like it's going to move forward, and it's going to actually take fully effect in June. And when I mean fully, not fully, but some of the rules are going to start to take place in June. Others are going to wait until January of 2018. I think that at some point Congress could vote and overturn the whole thing, but it seems like they've got other things to worry about right now. Quite frankly, I was stunned when Trump made his little orders asking the Department of Labor to relook at it. Obviously, it wasn't his idea. Someone else suggested that he do that, but it still looks like it's moving forward. So fingers crossed, because I think this in total is a benefit for customers. But we'll see, because it can get complicated. Speaking of complicated, just found a really nice article in The Atlantic. It is titled, "Will Trump Destroy the Dollar?" Clearly a hyperbolic headline, and the first paragraph or two are a little wordy, a little too creative. Someone was sitting down with a thesaurus, it seems like, to try to come up with fancy words. But push through that, and it has a really nice discussion on the Fed and interest rates and how presidents historically have fought with the Fed, which is why the Fed is supposed to be kind of quasi-independent. Of course, there's all kinds of complications of how it is and isn't independent, but past presidents have tried to varying levels of success to control or influence the Fed, because when interest rates are low, the economy is likely to correct, do better, start to grow. And when interest rates when inflation looks like it's starting to show up, the Fed has guidelines, rules. They're instructed to historically want to, however you want to interpret it, try to keep inflation at bay. So if the Republicans actually get together and pass something like a bill that will spend $1 trillion on roads and bridges across the country, that creates a lot of income going into the system. The Fed will be encouraged to raise interest rates to kind of counterbalance that. We also have had very modest, if not slow, economic growth for several years, which has been nice, but Donald Trump has made it clear, and some of his advisors agree with him, that the economy should grow at about 4% a year. Some have said 3 would be acceptable. the Fed has talked about 2% or even 1.8 being their target as sustainable growth. If the growth gets too high, like I said, you could have the inflation because everyone wants to hire everybody. Unemployment is already tight. If you are low, if you make it even lower, companies now have to start paying more in wages, which sounds fantastic. But when wages go up, then the costs of everything go up and inflation starts to happen. And then, of course, if inflation starts to happen, it can upset the trade balance, which makes the dollar stronger, which sounds great, but it also means that imported goods cost less. And so now if you want to try to export things, it's harder because your goods become more expensive to export and other goods become more affordable to import. So it's all a big, complicated balancing act. And everything that I have seen coming out of Trump and his administration on this topic, as well as almost every other topic, shows a juvenile level of understanding of how the world works. So I just, something to throw out there. I'm not predicting a market crash. Please do not hear that in what I just said. It's just something to pay attention to. I still expect the Fed to start raising rates, and I expect Trump to try to become a big bully and try to fire people and put in his own people to try to control it. If and when that happens, we'll talk about it some more. But we're going to take a quick little break, and we're going to go into our interview with Thomas True.
Behold, the atheist's nightmare. Now, if you study a well-made banana, you'll find on the far side there are 3 ridges. On the close side, 2 ridges. If you get your hand ready to grip a banana, you'll find on the far side there are 3 grooves, on the close side 2 grooves. The banana and the hand are perfectly made one for the other. You'll find the maker of the banana, Almighty God, has made it with a non-slip surface. It has outward indicators of inward contents: green, too early; yellow, just right; black, too late. Now, if you go to the top of the banana, you'll find, as with the soda can makers, they placed a tab at the top. So God has placed a tab at the top. When you pull the tab, the contents don't squirt in your face. You'll find the wrapper, which is biodegradable, has perforations. Notice how gracefully it sits over the human hand. Notice it has a point at the top for ease of entry. It's just the right shape for the human mouth. It's chewy, easy to digest, and it's even curved toward the face to make the whole process so much easier.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Now we have another guest. It is Thomas True. Thomas, how are you, sir?
Hey, doing great, Phil.
And
glad to be back on the Phil Ferguson Show.
Well, thank you, Thomas. You've been on and talked about your convention, and of course, it is so close to me, but unfortunately, it's going to get a little farther away from me because I'm moving.
Yeah.
But in St. Louis, Missouri, the what do they call that? The crossroads, the gateway?
The gateway to the west.
The gateway to the west, and they've got that archy thing.
Yeah, Gateway Arch.
The Gateway Arch. So if you're anywhere in the Midwest, you can drive somehow to St. Louis, Missouri. If you're farther away, you might want to get a train or a plane or something. Bus. I don't know if I want to ride a bus. But St. Louis, Missouri.
Well, they have the Megabus that's pretty relatively quick, and they come from all over the...
Megabus sounds like some kind of bad movie title.
Megabus. I don't know if you remember this, but they actually had a movie. It was a made-for-TV movie. I believe it was called The Super Bus.
Oh.
And it was an atomic-powered bus.
I see. And if it got below a certain speed, did it explode?
No.
That's a different...
I think the idea was that it was a spoof off all the airplane movies and stuff like that.
I see. So in St. Louis, Missouri, in 2017, in the summer somewhere, you're going to have a little conference. What are the dates for that? And what's it called?
Oh, yeah, great question. July 28th to 30th. That's pretty much the first thing I always say after the title, because if you're not available on those dates, it doesn't matter if I say anything else. So Gateway to Reason 2017, July 28th to 30th. The general admission tickets are available now. They're just $50 for all 3 days. You can add on the VIP dinner, which has some very special entertainment that we recently have expanded. And the VIP ticket is just $100. So for the full weekend for the event, it's just $150 for the whole ball of wax.
And that's, of course, with the optional VIP, which everyone should consider.
Right. Yeah, we're going to have a dinner there. There's going to be a comedy show. Now we have 4 people who are going to be on that. Steve Hill, Keith Ole Jensen, Brother Sam Singleton, atheist evangelist, and recently added David Smalley. So David Smalley is actually going to be opening up the show. So because I have 4, I've actually added an additional hour to the VIP so we can enjoy the entertainment and not have to hurry up, as it were, squeeze everybody in.
And, of course,
so
Steve
that's going to be a good deal.
Steve Hill is from St. Louis.
That's absolutely right, yeah. Steve Hill's home is here in St. Louis County.
Wow, so that is fantastic. Is it just comedy night, or is there anything else going on during the VIP dinner?
We're going to have, of course, a dinner, and all the speakers are going to be there, so you'll get to sit with the speakers, get to talk with them, kind of hang out and be casual while you get to know one another. They say one of the best ways to get to know somebody personally is to eat with them, so there you go.
And where is the VIP dinner?
Good deal.
Where's the VIP
And we're going to have music at the end afterwards. Not really real formal, but just if you want to relax and have some dancing, that'll be available too.
And where is the dinner held? What is the location?
The location for Gateway to Reason 2017 is at the Holiday Inn Southwest Route 66, literally right on the old Route 66 in St. Louis. The actual city is called Sunset Hills, right off I-44, which is the interstate route for Route 66 if you want to take that. But it's a real historic, well-known, legendary highway, known worldwide. And I've actually seen people from all over the world taking motorcycle rides and talking with people all up and down from California to Chicago about getting their kicks on Route 66.
It's from Chicago to L.A., 3,000 miles all the way or something like that?
It's about 2,400 miles.
No, dude,
Remember,
that's the
Chicago,
song. That's the song.
You're starting in Chicago, so it's not quite. But yeah, I've drove that entire route several times and several sections of it hundreds of times.
Yeah, well, that's excellent. And so we've got the dinner, we've got the comedy show. You get to visit with your own speakers, or with all the speakers, at least everybody that can make it to the dinner.
Right, and I'm trying to arrange it so all the speakers are there because, for one, they get a free meal too.
Right, there you go. And so then the convention, it starts at what time?
Well, the actual time the VIP will be at the end of the first day. So it actually opens up on Friday at the doors open at 8 a.m. And then the first speaker is me. The reason I did that is in case people want to come a little bit later. I'm not going to have them miss anybody important.
Oh, you're so sweet.
But then we're going to have a panel discussion about atheist parenting, which is pretty important, and I just added a speaker to that, Natalie Newall, who is a producer and director of the film the film called Science Moms. It's a documentary about parents who are very pro-science in the classroom in the public schools. So,
very nice. And it goes until the evening, and then you're on your own, or you go to the VIP dinner?
The first day we wrap it up about 6:30, and then from 7 to 11 is the VIP, and then after that, if you want to go ahead and find your own after party, that's fine. I've been to enough of these conferences that we don't really have to organize anything special, just accommodate it, and people will tend to find a place and be able to hang out together. There's plenty of places that are nearby, and we may even have a special room where people can congregate and kind of hang out as well, but that's still to be announced.
Very cool. Now, let's go over a few of the speakers.
All right, well, we have an excellent lineup, and one of the hardest things, and I've said this to speakers, is picking who is like the best or highlight, and because I like everybody, and I hope everybody who checks the website gatewaytoreason.com will pretty much feel the same. If you don't know them, you need to. If you do, you're going to love them even more. One of the persons that I just added yesterday, as a matter of fact, is David Smalley with Dogma Debate. And I was real excited to get him on board because David is a real dynamic speaker, has a comedy show. He's going to, like I said, be part of the comedy show. And he's going to do a live Dogma Debate there, so you want to make sure that you're there for that. So we'll be able to have a good audience for him.
Well, I'm just looking at this list, and no particular order, just some stuff you've got on here. We've got Aaron Ra,
right?
Emery, and Heather Henderson, and they have their own podcast.
Yeah, that's Ardent Atheist, and they also do one called Skeptically Yours.
And Seth Andrews, which a lot of people will know, he has a show called The Thinking Atheist, although
Thinking Atheist,
he is not The Thinking Atheist. It's just the name of his show.
Right.
And Noel George.
With Foundation Beyond Belief.
Yeah, I'm glad you had that one because I was stumbling. I know she's been on the show, but it's been a while.
Yeah, she's a great person, and the Foundation Beyond Belief, the cosplay costume contest that we're having, it's going to be a 50-50 if you're not familiar with what that is. Basically, you're encouraged to stuff the ballot for your favorite cosplay person, and at the end of the night, the winners will get like half of the prize for first, second, and third, and the other half will go to Foundation Beyond Belief, and the other half will go to Freedom from Religion Foundation.
And when is that?
That'll be Monday, all day Monday. So come in whenever you come in, get changed, put on your, whatever you want to wear. There's no really guidelines other than do something that you feel kind of fun or can do well.
Now, did you say
you
Monday?
Want to dress up as, a rabbit or a Star Trek character or something from, Wizard of Oz, anything that you want.
Yeah,
just,
Thomas, did you say Monday?
Go crazy, folks. Go crazy.
Did you say Monday?
That Friday.
Okay, Friday.
Friday.
Yeah. You had me scared because I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, me too.
When did that expand?
Today is Monday, according to my calendar.
And I see another name here I recognize, Matt Dillahunty.
Oh, yeah, Matt. I saw Matt at ReasonCon 3 this past weekend, and he did good talk there. And again, we're going to have him. I believe he said he was going to integrate his magic show into this one here in St. Louis. And, of course, Matt's from the St. Louis area, too.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he is. Now, it's funny. I'm looking at the webpage, and there's a helicopter on there. What the hell is that all about?
All right. Well, this is one thing that we have that no other conference that I ever have attended or heard of has had. We're offering the chance to take a tour of St. Louis for a $20 raffle ticket. And again, that helps fund. It'll be split between the FFRF and Foundation Beyond Belief after we pay for the fuel for their helicopter. But so basically, it's a $165 value. You spend $20, you get to ride it. Two winners per flight. We're going to have 6 flights total, and then there will be one of the speakers that will be on there if they choose to be. If not, we might get 3 people on there. And then fly around St. Louis, go around the Arch, the Brewery, Forest Park, Busch Stadium, Botanical Garden, just see everything in the St. Louis area real quick. And we'll be landing right close to the venue, so you don't have to go very far to get your ride, and it'll be pretty fun.
Oh, that is cool. So
just the ride itself is pretty amazing. Of course, I'm one of those that if it flies, put me on it.
So you get to go, and this is just some dude with a helicopter? I mean, it's a professional outfit?
No. The person who's the pilot actually trains people here in the St. Louis area on how to be helicopter pilots. So
okay,
as
so
far as
this is not a novice.
His ability to, fly, he's the best. I mean, if he trains people, you can trust him. He has a helicopter shop here. He owns 14 different helicopters. So definitely someone that you can totally rely upon. We did the tour the other day just to scout it out, and we wanted to have a place just in case we needed a spot to land. And we landed in my backyard, so that's kind of cool.
And I'm looking at this list. We have Mandisa Thomas, David Fitzgerald, Shelley Siegel, Rebecca Vitzum, Alex Jules, and who the fuck is this guy? Phil Ferguson. I guess.
Well, I understand he's like the most insightful, brightest financial guru to ever cross the river Styx.
That's right. I'm the only financial advisor who is stupid enough to admit that I'm an atheist.
Yeah, there you go.
It's kind of a weird thing.
I keep hearing you on other shows. You were out in L.A. recently, right?
I was in Austin for Atheist Experience, and then I was in New England. I was on Dogma Debate, but I didn't go to L.A. to be on.
Okay, all right. Okay, that's what I heard you on Dogma Debate.
Yep.
And people, he's so successful that he has to keep raising his minimum level in order to help you. But he does have the feature that if you call him for an hour, he'll give you a free, what do you call it, Phil?
Well, that was a special for Dogma Debate listeners.
Oh, that was on Dogma Debate only. Okay, well, cancel that.
Yeah, well, I will be helpful to anyone that calls. I mean, if someone calls and listens to the show and says, hey, I'm a listener to your show and I'm an atheist or whatever, I'll give them some time. But I am getting really, really pinched on time. Once I get done moving, things will free up. And I also see on your list here my good friend I've known for a long, long time, Margaret Downey.
Oh, yeah, Margaret. She's awesome. She helps me with my spelling and grammar because I'm horrible at that. People I think people are afraid to correct me. It's like, please help me. I'm so horrible at it, which is ironic. I was in journalism, but I was a photographer, so I didn't have to spell that.
Well, that's why I stopped blogging and now I talk, because if I use the wrong there, no one notices.
Uh-huh. There.
That's right. That's right. No one can tell that I used the wrong one. And, of course, I'm looking here at it's the Holiday Inn St. Louis Southwest on Route 66, historic. It's supposed to say historic. And the former Viking... okay, I don't know.
That's for people who are local. Yeah. It helps identify it. But
and it looks like they got this place. It's pretty. I mean, it's nice and clean and neat and... really sharp.
Yeah,
grounds.
We have hotel packages available for you that include your VIP ticket, your general admission ticket. We cover your breakfast and buy you some raffle tickets for the helicopter rides and your room. So it's a pretty good deal.
Wow, how much does that cost?
For the weekend one person combo ticket, you get everything included for $400. You're all good to go. Pretty much all you have to pay for is whatever. If you drink, you'll have to buy your own drinks. Yeah.
Now, I understand, and we talked about this last time, and I wanted to do it again, and I know you may not want to, but tough. We're going to do it anyway. Last year, you had a little trouble with the conference, and it ended up getting canceled.
Right.
How does the listener know that it's not going to happen again?
Well, I have a patron who's stepped up. Basically, the guy who's flying the helicopter has, he owns a big shop, as you could tell. And he's put forward the funds to make sure that this is going to happen. And because he was at the first one, and he was going to attend the second one, but he didn't buy his tickets early, like, I was hoping that people would do. That's how I budgeted it the first time, based solely on ticket sales. And it worked fine that way. So I figured it'll work fine this second time. Well, it didn't. I kind of think, and I got feedback from many speakers, and you can kind of verify this, that it ran so smooth for a first time event that I think people just assumed that there was money there, and it wasn't like, had to be funded by ticket sales. But that's how I was doing it, and this time I have a patron, so we're good to go.
And so for the listeners, I want to be really clear in case they aren't sure what you're saying. And
okay.
Just someone with a whole lot of money is guaranteed that this conference is going to work, right? So if you only sell 5 tickets, it's going to be you and 4 good friends watching these 30 speakers.
Exactly.
Right. But hopefully we sell 500 or more. Do you have an idea of how many you've sold already?
At Skepticon, I gave away, I believe, 20 tickets, and we sold 81, which for this far out, that's about right. So we have have about 81 tickets that have been sold. As I was mentioned earlier, the guy who's the patron was just going to show up at the one last year that I had to cancel.
Right. And
he was going to buy 10 tickets for me at the door. So, well, I wish you would have bought them ahead of time. Well, we don't have to worry about this time because any expenses that come up are going to be taken care of. And we're, obviously I'm trying to keep the prices as low as possible. For a $50 general admission ticket for a 3-day conference with, over 30 speakers, you just can't beat that.
No,
you can't even go to the grocery store for, $50.
And how many people can your hall hold?
The seating capacity is 500.
Okay.
So we got plenty of room for more people, and we're looking at about 130 for the VIP, and not counting the speakers. So the first one, which was successful, we sold everything out. We oversold it, and we're looking at right now about 18 different vendors, including speakers, and we're always looking for more vendors. If you want to sign up, contact our media and promotions director, Sarah Myers at sarah@gatewaytoreason.com. She'll help you with that. So got tables starting at $250, and of course that gets you for all 3 days.
Great, Thomas. Was there anything we didn't cover yet?
There's always more, but I think we did pretty good. There's always more information at gatewaytoreason.com, and we are at Twitter at G2RSTL, and we are Instagram at Gateway to Reason STL, and at Facebook you can get us at Gateway to Reason.
Excellent. So I'm just going to recap that. Gatewaytoreason.com is the place to go to for the website, and mark it in your calendars, July 28th, 29th, and 30th, the summer of 2017. It's a few months away. The tickets are selling already way out in advance, which is great. 2 years ago, you were sold out, and you had a great list of speakers just like this, 30-plus speakers right in the Midwest. But don't wait. It's always nice for the organization to know people are coming. So get your tickets, and I will be there. I guess I have to be since I'm a speaker or something, right?
You're even a sponsor.
I'm that's true. I'm a sponsor, and I'm a big fan of this. I sponsor a lot of conventions, but this might be the closest one to me. Well, actually, I'm also involved with something in Milwaukee, so that might be a little closer.
Yeah, now that you moved up to Chicago, the Milwaukee guys are closer to you.
That's right. So, Thomas, thank you for coming on the Phil Ferguson Show, and if nothing else happens, I will see you near the end of July.
Well, it's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
All right, have a good one.
Jesus had a tough life, boy. I read about that guy. Jesus is the only guy that ever came back from the dead that didn't scare the fuck out of everybody, man. He's the only guy that ever crawled out of a grave where people didn't go, oh, I just saw some fucker crawl out of this grave. Jesus comes back. He doesn't get any pressure. No static. Nobody's upset. He climbs out. He's walking around. Nobody's upset. They can eat with him and everything. You know? It's like, isn't that guy dead? Yeah, but he's real stubborn, man. He won't accept it. Pass the butter. What are they staring at? Yeah, I read it, folks. I read that book. He's on the cross. 30, 40 Christians standing around going, it's a shame that he has to die. And Jesus is going, well, maybe I wouldn't have to. Somebody get a ladder and a pair of pliers. I don't know if Jesus has actually spoken in an audible voice to anybody in about 2,000 years, folks. I think his last words may have been, oh, not the other one. Oh, you jerk. Oh. It may have been his last words. I'm not sure. Yeah, people say, you think Jesus is coming back? Sure. What's it been, 2,000 years? Boy, I sure don't want to dampen anybody's optimism here. It's only 2,000 fucking years. Yeah, he's coming back. He's going to do game shows. We're going to go, Jesus, this is your life. Remember this noise? All right, don't tell me. Don't tell me. Give me a second. He's up in heaven right now. They're going, why don't you go back down to earth? Be a symbol of peace and love to the world. Help. And he's going, yeah, sure. Help, huh? Yeah, I'd like to help. Tell him I'll be there as soon as I can play the piano again. Thanks a lot. I mean, the only Savior that can use his hand is a fucking whistle.
You're listening to The Bill Ferguson Show.
Well, I do hope you can make it to Gateway to Reason. Special thanks to Thomas for coming back on. And, of course, I will be there. I am a speaker as well as the many, many people we talked about during that interview. A couple quick other things. iTunes got some more reviews. They're nice and short, so I can read them on the air. Thank you for that. And now I'm not sure if I've read this one before. Let's see. Let me skip to the 9th. I'm pretty sure, because I haven't done a show in a week or so forgive me. CJ McIntosh, Phil Ferguson Show is very helpful for anyone looking for financial advice. I really like his realistic approach to finances, and his views on the world are very enlightening. How sweet. Thank you very much. Another one here titled, "Cause Who Likes Swearing in Finances?" This guy. All right, this is from Talbot34. My dad said never trust anyone that doesn't swear, so Phil might be the most trusting guy one can find online, with premium content, outstanding guests, and a passion for the penny. Let Phil F-bomb his way into your heart and finances. Oh, how sweet. That's touching. And one more here. We've got 5 stars from Sharon F. I don't know if that's how you say it. Sharon here from Habeas Humor Podcast. So now I feel bad. See, I've got to go listen to this podcast. Habeas Humor Podcast. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly. As others have said, this show is both educational and entertaining. Phil knows how to bring the party. Well, with a description like that, I must go check out their podcast. So thank you to all the wonderful listeners constantly giving me support and feedback and correcting me when I fuck up, because it is going to happen. It's a complicated world. I do know some things, but I don't come even close to knowing everything. So if you hear something that I get wrong, please feel free to send me a message. I would ask that you be polite about it. Don't be a total ass. You can send me an email, phil@polarisfinancialplanning.com. Of course, if you want someone to review your portfolio, or maybe even you want to hire me, same email, phil@polarisfinancialplanning.com. Just as a quick reminder, as of this show in May of 2017, my minimum amount to hire me is a portfolio that I can manage of at least $250,000. If you have less than that, that's cool. Let me know. We can still talk, and maybe I can give you some helpful suggestions, point you in the right direction, anything to try to make your life a little bit better. But until then, I look forward to seeing you out at some conference, and we'll talk to you soon. Ciao.